Hi guys, I hope you are ready for some mathematics. We are going to do some revision of what we have learned so far. We'll learn some more about fractions. Money, we will look at South African money, identify and distinguish it. In measuring mass, I would like you to weigh yourself to see how many kilograms you weigh and to compare that to other objects. In directions, I would like you to get from one object to another by following the arrows. You can do this. Let's do some mental mathematics. This is to keep your brain fresh and quick. So remember, you have to try and do these as quickly as possible. I would like you to try and do them within 4 minutes each. Okay, so let's look at activity 1. It's basic addition and subtraction. However, I give you words and not a sum, so you have to read it. You can write your answer as a number. Activity 2, you're going to rename into hundreds, tens, and units. Activity 3, you have to count in groups. So if it says 3 groups of 2, it means I'm going to count 3 times in 2, 2, 4, 6. My answer will be 6. Activity 4, use the cards and write a number sentence. So they give you the answers. You just need to decide with which one does it go. Activity 5, count the sides. So, for example, in number 1, you have to count how many sides does a triangle have. It's got 3 sides. And a square has got 4 sides. So together they will have 7 sides. You are going to do dot to dots. However, you are going to count in 3s and 4s. So you need to think carefully because they skip the numbers. I made a little yellow circle to show you where to start every time. Then there's also basic plus and minus sums that I want you to do as quickly and accurately as you possibly can. Try and time yourself and write the time on the page as well. I want you to do it in less than 5 minutes. I give you the number name. I want you to write the number symbol. However, you first have to go work out what the number is. Go look at the sum, do it, and then write the number symbol for me. Next, you have to decide, is the number more or less? So you have to go and compare them. Please spell more or less correct. It is on the page. Look carefully. At the bottom in the table, you have to halve and double those numbers. Word problems. Now, before you start your word problems, there's 2 things I want to remind you. Always, when you read your sum, think, is your answer going to be more or less? If your answer is going to be more, you will have to plus, times, or do a doubles sum. If your answer is going to be less, your sum will probably be divide, minus, or halving. Then also remember to always use the numbers that they give you to get to the answer. Now let's look at this week's. The first one says, Wilma has sold 8 bananas. Now she has 12 bananas left. How many bananas did Wilma have in the beginning? Go think, more or less. Go show me with a picture, do the sum, and write in the answer. The next one says, Nancy is thinking of a number and doubles it. Now she has 14. What number did Nancy think of? So what was the number in her head at the beginning before she doubled it to get 14? The next one says, Susan has 30 apples. She gave half of the apples to her friends. How many apples does she have now? The last one tells us, Pam buys 28 apples and 4 bags. She divides the amount of apples in every bag until there is nothing left. How many apples did she put in each bag? Now think carefully. The word divide is a clue there for you. Use it. Next, we will look at addition and subtraction. Now, the previous 3 weeks, we have looked at different methods of doing this. I'm going to quickly go over the 3 methods, and then you need to choose which one works the best for you and apply that to addition and subtraction sums. The important thing is that you show your workings. You can't just write the answer. You need to show how you get to the answer, and you need to work with tens and units to get to your answer. The first method we're going to look at is the one where you rename both numbers. So that means you're going to take the number and break it into tens and units. Then you're going to add your tens together, you're going to add your units together, and then you're going to put those tens and units together again to get your answer. Now you will see in all 3 of these pictures, I took the number 26 and I broke it up into 20 and 6. And the number 33 I renamed as 30 and 3. Then I added my 20 and my 30 together to get 50. And I added my 6 and 3 together to get 9. And then in the end, I just added the 50 and the 9 together to get my final answer, 59. Now, these 3 pictures are actually all the same method because every time I broke it into tens and units, both numbers. It's just different layouts of the same method. In the second method, I rename one number only. So 26 stays as it is. I'm going to take 33 and rename it into 30 and 3. And then I'm first going to add the 10. So I'm going to say 26 plus 30 will give me 56. And then I'm going to add the units. So I'm going to say 56 plus 3 is 59. And that is my final answer. And then my last method, where I also leave one number as it is and then break the other number into smaller parts. So for this one, 26 remained as it is. And then 33 I broke into 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 3. And then every time I add the tens individually to 26. And then in the end, I add the 3 to my number to get my final answer. Now I'm highlighting this one picture because this is the one I think personally is the easiest to do, where you add your tens together and you add your units together to get the answer. It's quick, it's short, and I think it's easy. But you need to work out what works for you, and then you need to use that method. Now these are our subtraction methods. They are basically the same as the addition methods. I'm just quickly going to remind you how they work. For method 1, you will also see 3 pictures where they look different, but they are basically the same sum. Every time I rename both numbers. I took the 47, I broke it up into a 40 and a 7. And then I took the 23 and I broke it up into a 20 and a 3. And then I minus the tens from each other and the units from each other. The only thing you need to remember with the minus sum is in the end, because we're working for tens and units, you do not minus there. There you have to add them together to get your final answer. For the second method, I'm going to rename one number only. So my 47 remains as it is. 23 I rename as 20 and 3. Then I'm first going to subtract the 20s from the 47, my tens. And then I'm going to subtract the units from the 27. And I'm going to get my final answer, which is 24. For my last method, I'm going to once again leave the first number as it is. And then break the second number up into smaller bits. So the 47 remains. The 23 I break up into 10 and 10 and 3. Then I'm individually going to subtract the 2 tens. And then after that, I'm going to subtract the 3 to get my final answer. The same as with the addition sum. I think this method that I'm highlighting now is the easiest way. Some of these subtraction sums are a bit confusing because there's pluses in them and that causes confusion. So the simplest way is for when I take 47 minus 23, I put my tens together and minus them from each other. I put my units together and I minus them from each other. The only thing that you need to remember in the end, because it's tens and units, you put them together to get your final answer. Now, I would like you to go and apply what we've just looked at. Go and do these addition and subtraction sums. Remember, show your thinking. Show the steps that you followed to get to the answer. Fractions. Remember, fractions is when we take something and break it into smaller parts. However, those smaller parts must be equal in size. So this week we're going to look at quarters. Quarters is when we take something and we break it into 4 equal parts. That's why if you think of a clock, you get quarter past and quarter to. Go look at a clock and see if you can make the connection. First, I want you to go circle the shapes that show quarters. Then I want you to color in 1/4 of each shape. That means you're going to color in 1 of the 4 blocks only. Lastly, you're going to partition each shape into quarters. So you're going to break it up into 4 pieces. Those 4 pieces must be of equal size. Next, you need to color in the fractions. For the circle, I ask you to color in 1/2. That means you're going to color in 1 of the 2 halves. Next, you're going to color in 2/3. So you're going to color in 2 of the 3 blocks. You're going to also color in 2/4. That means color in 2 of the 4 blocks. Color in 1/2. And then lastly, 1/4. Divide the fraction. The arrow, I want you to go divide into halves. Make sure it is of equal size. And the block, I want you to go divide into quarters. Then I want you to tick the shapes that have been divided into thirds. Remember, thirds means it's cut into 3 equal parts. So go look which of those shapes are 3 equal parts. Lastly, name the fraction that is shaded. If only one block is colored in, we will say it is 1/3. If 2 blocks are colored in, we will say it is 2/3. So go and make sure. I would like you to go and watch the video about money. It will teach you everything you need to know about the money and how to identify it, what is on each coin, the colors, and some extra information. Then I would like you to do the activity. For the activity, there's 2 columns. In column A, you get the coins. In column B, it's what's on the coins. So if we look at the first one, it's a 10-cent coin. What is on a 10-cent coin? It is an arum lily. So that's why I wrote a B next to 10 cents. At the bottom, I want you to describe the notes and tell me what color it is and what animal is on it. The answers are at the bottom, so just go put them in the correct places and please spell them correctly. AM is from midnight until midday. So that is while you are sleeping at night, when you wake up in the morning, and when you are at school. PM is from midday to midnight. So that is when school ends, when you are at sports in the afternoon, and when you go to bed at night. So keeping this in mind, I want you to answer the following questions. Each time you're going to circle AM or PM, depending on which one you think they are talking about. Mass tells us how heavy or how light something is. When you want to know how heavy you are, what your weight is, You climb on a bathroom scale and it tells you how much you weigh. We usually use kilograms when we weigh something, or if it's something that's small that doesn't weigh a lot, we can also use grams. So what I would like you to do is, if you can, go and weigh yourself. Then I want you to think of things that are heavier than you and go draw or write on the left hand side of this little man the things that are heavier than you. And then I want you to think of things that's lighter than what you are. And I want you to go draw or write them on the right hand side. Give this little man some personality. Maybe make him look like you and give him some color. You are going to follow the arrows to see if you can get from the one object to the other object. I'm going to do the first one as an example with you. So at the bottom of the page, you need to look at the arrows and to see in what direction you need to go. You are going to start at the pencil. Looking at the arrows, I have to move 2 blocks to the right. Next, I have to move 2 blocks down. After that, I have to move 3 blocks to the right. Lastly, I have to move 1 down and 1 to the right. I have arrived at the book. Now I would like you to go and show me how the baby gets to its bottle. Follow the arrows at the bottom of the page to get from the baby to the bottle. Your practical activity for this week, you're going to work with fractions. So what I would like you to do is to cut out the fruits, and those that show fractions, cut them into those fractions. So cut the halves in the middle, cut the quarters into 4 pieces. Then I want you to play around with them. I want you to see how many quarters fit into 1 half. And what do you notice about 2 quarters and 1 half? How many halves make a whole? Go play around and see what you can learn.